More than half of the court-ordered 12-week counseling sessions had already passed, and each time the same thing sounded the same. All she could say was the same hackneyed phrases: "I only love you," "It never meant anything," "It was just sex," "It'll never happen again," and he was getting pretty tired of hearing them. He didn't wonder if she meant what she said, because it didn't really matter anymore. Their marriage was dead, and nothing she could say or do would bring him back to life. The only thing he wanted her to do was to put up with it and sign the papers so he could move on with his life. He sat there, half listening to her excuses, wishing she would understand that there was no hope of reconciliation when she declared, "I know you, perhaps even better than you know yourself, and I'm sure you still love me, and that we can work things out and be happy again." "Ah, so you know me, do you? I'll tell you what, since you know me so well, then I'll ask you one question about the most important part of our marriage. And if your answer coincides with mine, then I will do everything I can to put it all behind me and make every effort to repair our marriage. But if that doesn't happen, you will agree to sign the divorce papers." She hesitated for a moment, her face clouded with uncertainty as she pondered his offer. "Okay, but how do I know you'll be honest with your answer?" "It's simple. I'll ask a question, and we'll both write down our answers and give them to the counselor. The counselor will read our answers aloud and decide if our answers are a close match. Would that work for you?" "Yes, that's fine with me. You'll see, I know you, and we are meant to be together." He turned to the counselor. "Do you mind?" The consultant thought for a moment before answering. "This is a very unusual request, but yes, I agree." As the counselor handed them both a piece of paper and a pen, she furtively glanced at her husband and wondered anxiously if she had made the right decision when she saw the slight smile on his lips. "What is love?" he asked his question. "Well, it's easier than I thought," she sighed in relief as she wrote down her answer and handed it to her counselor. After he handed in his answer, the counselor took her sheet and read it aloud. "Love is that feeling when you find the person you want to spend the rest of your life with. He is the first person you think of when you wake up and the last person you think of before you go to sleep. When you're with him, the rest of the world ceases to exist, and when he's gone, all you want is to be together again." She recoiled when he laughed heartily at her answer. "Is that what you think love is? And how often was he the first person you thought of when you woke up next to me? Or the last person you thought of when you went to sleep in our bed? How many times when you were next to me did you want to be with him instead? All the time, I suppose. And how many times when you were with him did you want to be near me? Let me guess, never. And you'll also claim that it never meant anything to you, but by your own definition, that's exactly him you loved. May I continue?" The counselor intervened, before taking another sheet of paper and reading it aloud. "Love is not a feeling. Love is a selection. Love is when you decide that another person's wants, needs, and feelings are more important to you than your own. Love is when you make a choice about what's best for someone, even if he or she never finds out. Love is still about continuing to treat someone with kindness and respect, even when you are angry or hurt, and even though you don't want to. Love is not about purposely doing something for your own pleasure while hurting another. Love is about making a choice to be honest and be faithful to each other. That's what love is to me." The counselor put aside the piece of paper and thought for a moment and said, "It's quite obvious to me that you two have completely different views of what love is." As soon as the counselor said these words, he stood up and, looking at the one who would soon become his ex-wife, said, "Sign the papers, bitch," and left the office.